Hello, I'm Amari Jones, and today is Thursday, April 30th. This is Caffeine TV, your daily news brief, here to take you through 3 headline numbers in just 3 minutes, giving you a different take on everything from housing policy to the Real Housewives. The first number up today is 2, as in the second person to join the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. That's 73-year-old Bernie Sanders, the U.S. Senator from Vermont, who put out his announcement earlier today. Now, he's an independent and a socialist, but said he's going to run as a Democrat because he didn't have time to fill out all of that additional paperwork when what's important is his message. Now, quite clearly, as a Democratic socialist, he's a champion for many progressive causes. He was an early opponent to the Iraq War, pushed a single-payer system for the U.S. healthcare system, and is an opponent to free trade deals. And so with his entry in the race, Hillary Clinton is getting the opponent that many progressives has said that she needs. Now, on the issue of the day on Baltimore, he said that there needs to, quote, be a review of all of those laws, close quote, which helped to create the circumstances which led to the Baltimore riots, and in that he echoed the sentiments expressed earlier in the day of Hillary Clinton, who called for an end to mass incarceration and said that the fact that there are 1.5 million missing black men from neighborhoods and communities due to incarceration and early death is heartbreaking. And in that, she backed away from many of the policies of her husband's administration. And so 7 months before the first vote is cast, the Democratic nomination race for president is anything but boring. The next number up today is 100. That's the number of people released by the Baltimore Police Department last night. Roughly half of all of those arrested in conjunction with the Baltimore riots, and the police had to legally let them go. That's because, according to the law, police have 48 hours to charge someone after they had been arrested, and many of those in police custody had been held for 72 hours, so the police had no choice but to set them free. Now, after 2 nights of calm, there's concern today that that calm could be fragile. That's because the Baltimore Police Department will turn over its initial findings into the investigation into the death of Freddie Gray over to the state attorney's office. But unlike initial news reports, those findings will not be made public, further testing the calm. And there were protests for justice for Freddie Gray across the country yesterday in New York, in Washington, D.C., and in Milwaukee, and there are more planned for today, and so we still have a long way to go. The last number up today is 61, and it relates to, the last number of today is 60. We still have a long way to go. The last number of today is 61. That's currently the number of people that are on the federal death row, and it relates to just how hard it will be for the United States to dismantle the system of crime and punishment that it's built up over decades. Now, as the New York Times lays out, President Obama ordered a review of capital punishment at the federal level in the United States after a string of botched lethal injection executions last year. The basic problem is that the chemicals being used in executions are basically experimental. That's because there's public pressure on the companies which produce the chemicals that are more humane to not sell them for executions, and so executors are using whatever they can find. Now, after a review of the system, Attorney General Eric Holder basically came up with a way to end the practice, but there was pushback against him from a number of quarters, some of them unexpectedly, some worried what would happen to those on death row currently because they'd been sentenced before the change. Progressives wondered whether or not states would revert to older forms of capital punishment like hanging and firing squad, and the Supreme Court decided to take up the issue itself, with arguments being held there on Wednesday, and the entire affair is now in limbo. And so all of this just goes to show that to change the system that's been ossified and calcified will take a lot of work.